Straight ahead on 12 News, a desire to bring back the past, the idea to return the streetcar to Robbinsdale. Then a push for new school funding dollars. Meet the volunteer group hoping to change the future of Osseo schools. But first, a glut of grocery stores. See what's opening next in Maple Grove. 12 News starts right now. While Rainbow Foods closes grocery stores in Plymouth and Robbinsdale, there is a grocery store boom happening in Maple Grove. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Johnson.
And I'm Alexandra Renslow. This month, discount grocer Aldi opens a store in Maple Grove, and this summer, Whole Foods will open its Maple Grove location. Those new additions now join at least 8 other major grocers already operating in the city. So can they all survive? When it comes to where we grocery shop,
yep, I hop around.
many of us are becoming a bit random.
I like to look for deals, but you know how it is when you're working, you don't have a lot of extra time, you sort of go to where it's convenient.
In the increasingly competitive business of groceries, Maple Grove shoppers have their pick. When discounter Aldi opens later this month and Whole Foods later this summer, they'll join a long list of grocery options in Maple Grove. There's the traditional Cub and Rainbow. There's the big box options like Target, Walmart, Sam's Club, and Costco. And then there's specialty gourmet with Byerly's and Trader Joe's.
People are shopping in more places, and they're not loyal like they used to be. It's just whatever is convenient to where they're out and about and running their errands.
Consumer expert Carrie Hasha of PocketYourDollars.com says while shoppers are price conscious, they're also time sensitive when it comes to coupon clipping. Hasha believes Aldi may give big box and traditional grocery stores the biggest run for their money.
Aldi's everyday prices beat all of them on most of their products. And so they've got a lot of things going for them that I think if I were Target or Walmart, I'd be very nervous.
Similarly, gourmet grocer Byerly's could feel the competition when Whole Foods opens its doors next to another niche store, Trader Joe's.
I tend to now go and see what's the best deal.
Barb Van Heel shops Trader Joe's, but she expects to hit Whole Foods soon too, since it's within the same area. Ultimately, it's the market that will decide if all of Maple Grove's grocery options can survive. And it's not just major grocers that are competing for consumer dollars. Retailers like Menards and Walgreens even offer a few aisles of grocery.
A popular Robbinsdale restaurant goes on hiatus after this weekend. Travail has received critical acclaim over its 3 years in business, but its last day is Saturday before closing and building 3 new restaurants. The current restaurant will become a casual pizza place called Pig Ate My Pizza, but the bigger project is actually down the street. Travail will tear down a blighted building to make way for a new Travail. That project will include a new sandwich and cocktail joint called The Rookery. The city officials are excited about what it will mean for the downtown area. Robbinsdale will use tax increment financing to help fund the new building. Arc's Value Village in New Hope will be doubling in size. The city recently approved plans to add 8,700 square feet to the store on Winnetka Avenue. The expansion will include a new drive-through lane and double the size of the sales floor. A spokesperson says there's been consistent growth in that store year after year. The store will stay open during construction when work begins this spring. Profits benefit people with developmental disabilities, including finding them employment and other services.
Competition for hunting business is heating up in Rogers. Gander Mountain has announced it's building a store dedicated solely to selling firearms and hunting clothes. They call it the Firearms SuperCenter. It'll be close to Cabela's, which is also located in Rogers. Gander Mountain has 11 other Minnesota stores, but this would be the first to focus only on hunting. The new store is expected to open in a former Best Buy store later this month. Gander closed a traditional store in Maple Grove about 2 years ago. The future of transit in Robbinsdale could possibly have a nostalgic look.
Officials with the Metropolitan Council are toying with the idea of having a streetcar run through the city. Delane Cleveland joins us now to explain. Delane?
Mike and Alex, it's been 65 years since the streetcar has run through Robbinsdale, but city officials will soon meet with representatives from Metro Transit to discuss the possibility of that happening again.
From the historical perspective, you may say that when the Minneapolis streetcar system was first constructed, the Robbinsdale businesses of that time raised the money to bring that extension into Robbinsdale. So the Robbinsdale streetcar extension has history to it.
The last streetcars ran through Robbinsdale in 1948, but Metro Transit officials have been talking to Minneapolis about transit enhancements along West Broadway Avenue, and a streetcar that would make its way into Robbinsdale is among the options. Robbinsdale officials say one idea under consideration is for a trolley to run down Oakdale Avenue past North Memorial Hospital, but that's not the most desirable option for the city.
I have some concerns about it running down Oakdale, which is one of the possibilities. We just spent quite, $1 million or so trying to fix up Oakdale, and to have that kind of all be wasted is a little concerning to us. But
Robbinsdale officials wanted to emphasize that these discussions are all very preliminary. Mike and Alex, a streetcar is just one transit idea being discussed. Another idea on the table is enhanced bus service.
All right, thanks, Delene. We'll see what happens there. Well, as the Osseo School Board decides how to cut $11 million out of the budget over the next 2 years, it has another tough decision to make.
That's should the board put an operating levy back on the ballot this fall. 12 News reporter Shannon Slatton explains why one volunteer group says another levy is the right thing to do.
To be that close and to fall short of our goal was very disappointing. The bottom line is we all want a positive education for our students, for our children. In that call to action is providing people with... We needed to keep this effort going. We needed to reach out across our district. I did find a button maker. There's two versions. One says I'm a parent and one says supporter, so depending on...
Get your whole number first.
You know, we've all lost ground on our buying power in the schools, even more so.
We need those opportunities, and our community needs our students to have those opportunities. Basically put boots on the ground and share information with our friends and our neighbors. Before school lets out in the beginning part of June.
It's like you said, they see the sound bites, they see the headlines, but what's the personal impact?
Our children don't get a second chance, and it's up to us. We have to get this right now. We don't have more time. They don't get to do this over again.
District 279 says it's too early to say anything about a potential board decision, but the board's work session on Tuesday night will focus solely on whether or not to put a levy on the ballot this fall. And Mike and Alex, if it does go on the ballot this fall, you can expect much more visibility from this group. They already have a website. As you can see, they're already passing out the buttons.
And it was so close last time.
It was.
Thanks a lot, Shannon.
Thank you. Well, there will be familiar faces in new places at two local junior highs next school year. Lisa Hartman will be the new principal at Maple Grove Junior High. Hartman is currently an assistant principal at Maple Grove Senior High. She replaces Wendy Loberg, who is retiring. And over at Brooklyn Junior, Kim Monette will take over. She is very familiar to Brooklyn Junior as she's currently an assistant principal there. Monette is replacing Giuseppe Mendolia, who accepted a position as principal of an international school in Guatemala. Mendolia has been the principal at Brooklyn Junior for the past 10 years. Well, coming up, a different way to enjoy dinner with your dates.
See what a Robbinsdale restaurant has cooking next in Weekend Showcase. And later in sports, two local prep baseball teams hit the Metrodome turf for an early morning season opener.
But first, what's the deal with the weather? We actually saw some snowflakes today. Saturday, clouds and rain. Your AccuWeather forecast is next.
In today's Weekend Showcase, it's a chance to feed your stomach and your soul.
Nonna Rosa's restaurant in Robbinsdale is hosting dinner and a show for the next 2 weekends. But this isn't just any theater production. Renee Bonneau explains how you can get in on the fun.
God will forgive her, and so will you. Isn't that right?
At Top Hat Theater in Crystal, last-minute preps take place for That's Amore.
She's all wrong for you.
You always say that.
A story about two cultures clashing over a wedding.
We decided it would be really funny to have the Minnesota girl marrying the Italian boy. And the grandmother is coming in from Italy and has no idea that he's not marrying an Italian woman. So all goes kaputs.
Director and actress Pamela Russell co-wrote the musical, drawing inspiration from an unlikely source.
Me and Pam just sat down and brainstormed, and I just told her stories of my family and functions I've gone to and funny scenarios that I guess entertain people who are not Italian.
Tina Suglia wanted to host dinner and a show at her restaurant Nonna Rosa's, so she called on Top Hat Theater to write a script and supply the actors.
At least my opinion is welcome.
That's Amore was born. For $35, diners are treated to a meal they won't find on the regular menu.
Entree feature is a chicken piccata, which is our tender chicken breast served on a bed of noodles, and the sauce is a lemon caper kind of white wine sauce. It's amazing.
The show starts as dinner is served, and the actors perform right at the dinner table.
We are side by side next to the guests, and it's a very intimate experience, which is really cool, where we sit with the people that come to the show.
The actors want the audience to interact and sing with them like they're part of the family.
It's a great comedy of singing and camaraderie and fighting and passion and, of course, great food.
For Weekend Showcase, I'm Renee Bonneau.
That's Amore runs Friday through Sunday for the next 2 weekends. There is limited seating at each show, and you can call Nonna Rosa's at 537-3700 to make reservations. A lot of passion with that.
A lot of personality,
food.
yeah. You can handle it.
But coming up, a dream occasion for baseball card collectors.
Find out which Hall of Famers are visiting Brooklyn Center. But first in sports, Jason Melillo brings us a season preview of a young Osseo baseball team. That and more when we come back.
Jason Melillo now with sports, and I guess, around here you really have to think outside the box if you're going to play outdoors in Minnesota in this kind of weather. It's just not.
Well, you can't play outside,
No.
yeah. And so we're in a situation where you got, get your coffee, get your eggs, your bagel, whatever you eat in the morning, and go play baseball. That's where we're at right now. With a late-to-come Minnesota spring, baseball teams will play anywhere and anytime they can. Case in point, Hopkins and Benilde St. Margaret squaring off at the Metrodome Friday morning. First pitch, 6:45 a.m. The Dome, safe to say, not filled to capacity for this one. Bottom first, JT Den Hartog base hit. Romy Carl scores a 1-0 Royals. Same inning, bases loaded. Eric Kramer laces a hit the other way. Jerry and George come around. No, just kidding. Rory Ritz and Den Hartog score. Royals get 6 runs in the first, and they're in control. Logan Athman on the hill for Hopkins. He strikes out the side in the top of the second, and he was strong all morning. Bottom 2, after a leadoff double by Sam Dalton, Jack Cherry strokes a base hit. Dalton hustles home from second base to make it 7-0 Royals. They would lead 10-0 after 2 innings. And Atham is dialed in on the mound. He tosses a complete game 2-hitter, strikes out 8 as Hopkins wins 11-rip in 5 innings. The Osseo baseball team will be young and green this spring, but don't call it a rebuilding year. Here's a preview of the Orioles. Osseo will lean on 2 underclassmen as their primary starting pitchers, and a lot of the other players will be learning on the job. But the Orioles still expect to compete in the Northwest Suburban Conference.
I don't want to be labeled as rebuilding. We're just reloading with what we have, and we're going to go and be competitive. Obviously there's teams out there that are loaded from players last year, so we still want to be competitive with them, even though they have probably more experience than we do right now.
That rebuilding word has never really been a word that I liked, because I feel like that means that your team isn't going to play well and whatnot, but I believe that we're not going to have a rebuilding year. We're a young team, but we'll have, our younger kids will be able to step up for us.
Osseo hopes to have solid defense and pitching right out of the gate. Sophomore Charlie Hohenstein and junior John Ludwig will get the ball a lot and should have the stuff to keep games close.
Charlie Hohenstein, really stepped up last year as a freshman pitcher, and we're going to lean heavy on him this year for a lot of innings.
We see a lot of talent in the young guys, and they pitched last year. Charlie is a 9th grader, and he's definitely going to be that guy.
Osseo's young lineup will have to gain confidence and settle into their roles quickly. If that happens, the Orioles could make some noise this season. Jason Melillo, 12 Sports. Osseo was slated to play its first game this weekend at home against Cooper, but the Orioles field is not ready, and that game has been canceled. Well, football season is still months away, but high school teams are always looking for ways to raise money for their program. The Maple Grove Crimson is sponsoring a football fundraiser golf tournament Monday, May 20th at Medina Country Club. The program is trying to raise money for a major makeover of the weight room and training facilities and improvements to the Crimson Stadium locker rooms, along with other football-related initiatives.
The programs went through a lot of transformations the last couple of years, and some of those transformations require money. Things like, sending the whole team to a football camp up in North Dakota State in June. The year-long weight training program that they have implemented, so all those things, and some of the changes to the youth program as well. So the golf outing is a great way for us to raise some of those needed funds.
And for more information or to register, you can go to crimsonfootball.com. And Matt Lombardi took over that Maple Grove program 2 years ago. And he's really tried to ingratiate himself with the community and with the youth football program. And that's the way you build a good high school program. And I think this is sort of just an extension of that.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jason. Still ahead, why something overrated is still generating a lot of fan buzz.
Plus, a card collector's paradise. Big names from football and baseball swing through Brooklyn Center for a big weekend event. The details when we come back.
Their beer is overrated, and no, that's not a review. It's the latest creation from Surly Brewing in Brooklyn Center. Overrated is an India Pale Ale with a new hoppy taste. And look for the beer to get to store shelves even sooner. Surly just installed a new canning line that was designed and built in Italy. It fills more than 3,000 cans an hour, which is twice what Surly's old machinery would do. And finally, as baseball season revs up, fans in Brooklyn Center can score autographs from some legendary players.
Vendors from all over the U.S. will be at the Earl Brown Heritage Center this weekend for a sports collectibles show. They'll be selling items from bobbleheads to signed baseballs, but the biggest draw will be the athletes themselves scheduled to stop by.
They're bringing a lot of autographed guests from around the country. Cal Ripken, Eddie Murray, Frank Robinson, Pete Rose, some football players, Dan Hampton, Mike Singletary. It's just kind of celebration of sports and kind of fun. You meet some Hall of Famers and heroes that you dream about meeting.
It costs $6 to get into the show. Prices for autographs range from $18 to about $100. And to see who's coming and when, go to sportsnewsshows.com. Be neat to see some of those big names in person. Yeah. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Community Corner is coming up next.